I'm Ashley, founder of Soy Kitty, and I'm so glad you're here. Today, I'm joined by someone whose work I've admired for a long time, Julianne Hart. She's an empath, an author, and the founder of Naturally Cats. But more than that, she's a soul activator for cat guardians and a passionate voice for healing, both feline and humans alike. In this episode, we talk about what's really going on beneath anxious cat behavior and how so often it's not just about the cat, it's about energy, it's about intuition, and it could be about you. Julianne shares the story of how her cat Pickle changed everything, what it means when our cats mirror our emotions, and how to use gentle, natural tools like energy work, botanical remedies, and color therapy to help anxious cats heal. If you've ever wondered whether your cat is picking up on your stress, or if there's a deeper reason behind their skittishness, aggression, or overwhelm, this is an episode you won't want to miss. Let's get into it. Okay. Hi, I'm Ashley with Soy Kitty, and today I'm super excited. I have Julianne Hart from Naturally Cats. Julianne, I'm so happy you're with me. Thank you so much for joining.
Oh, I'm so excited to be here, and I can't wait for us to get into the topic that we're going to cover and talk about everything cats. Thank you for having me, Ashley.
Amazing, amazing. All things cats, my favorite topic. So let's get started. I want you to do a quick introduction about yourself for people that don't know you, don't know your work. Who are you? What do you do? Who do you help? All the things about you.
Okay. How long have we got? No, I'm kidding. Okay. So,
As long as you need.
so hi everyone, and I'm really glad that you found this space where you can join us and hear about the topics that Ashley and I are going to cover today. So I had a corporate job many eons ago. I was the benefits manager for the government, and I had a cat at the time, Pickle, and she was my biggest teacher. She was very poorly for a very long time, and I wasn't happy with the vet care that we were getting, and I tried to find different ways to help her. So I trained in different modalities and complementary therapies, and basically ended up bringing it all together to create Naturally Cats, which is my business and the way that I help people. So that has had different iterations over time. When I left my corporate job to do Naturally Cats full time, I called myself if I can remember, I think it was holistic cat behaviorist, because I thought that if I had behaviorist in my title, people would Google me. That's how I would get clients. But essentially, that's how I could help people. But over the years, my title has changed. You know, I've been a cat practitioner, a holistic cat therapist, and then recently I've changed my name again, or my title, I should say. And I call myself a soul activator for cat guardians. And people say to me, like, what does that even mean? And it means that basically I am here to help people to understand their cats. So because of Pickle and our journey, which I'm sure we'll get into, I have a mission to change the world's perception of cats. You know, I want to create 1 million soul-led cat guardians, and I want people to realize that cats are sentient, sensitive beings that need understanding. They have emotional needs that need to be met, and as their guardians, you know, we get to do that, but not everybody understands how to do that. So that's why I'm here. I primarily work with anxious people and anxious cats. So over the years, I've worked with all sorts, you know, cats being around the home, cats over grooming. But the last couple of years, since I've been working with my boy Leo, who is an anxious cat and ex-feral, I've really focused down on anxiety because I have it, I manage it, I suffer with it, I deal with it, and so does he. And I figured, you know, what's the best way to help people but to speak from experience and to share my story and to help them with theirs.
For sure. I think a lot of people can relate with you about feeling anxious, stressed, especially in today's world. And that energy, the cats can feel it, right? And so it's a noble thing that you're doing, and I think it's incredibly important. So thank you for doing it on behalf of all the cats and all the cat parents out there.
Oh, thank you, my love. That means the world to me. Like I remember a couple of years ago thinking, I don't feel like I'm making a difference. I don't feel like I'm doing anything. But then I realized that, you know, if I can help one person with one cat, that's made a difference to their whole world, you know? And like you said, anxiety, my goodness, is so prevalent, not just in animals these days, but in humans as well. And we are so connected to our animals, you know, cats and dogs. This isn't just about cats, but obviously I'm only trained with cats. But it's really common, you know, and it's heartbreaking to see the way that people are suffering out there. So that's where hopefully I can help.
For sure. I love that. And we'll get into that a little bit later, but I want to circle back to kind of your origin story. You talked about Pickle and how he changed your life. I'm assuming he was your soul awakening cat.
She was, yes, yes.
Kind of activated this journey. So, can you dive into a little bit more about what happened and the story behind it?
She was. Let me get a picture.
Always, cat pictures are welcome.
Yeah, my wall is pickled with baby Max, Leo, and Pickle. This is, I don't know if you can see her.
Gosh, so cute.
So beautiful. Baby girl. Oh. We my ex and I, we wanted to get a cat, and all the rescue centres were empty. Like, have you ever heard such a thing?
That's amazing. That's incredible.
Nowhere had cats to rehome.
Go check the nearest dumpster.
I'm like, what the hell? And anyway, we ended up finding out about her at a rescue centre, and the guy that went to get her into the basket was from the dog section. So he had no idea how to handle her, bless him. And she was hissing and scratching, and he was just stood there basically like staring at her. And I went, let me do it. And I waded in, and I literally like scooped her up. I got scratched all over my arms and put her in the box, not in an unkind way, but do you know what I mean? Like I need to get her safe and secure.
Yeah, of course.
And we brought her home, and she yowled every single moment in the car. Like, I've never heard a noise like it. It broke my heart. But I had no idea she was going to be the cat that changed my life. Like, literally changed my life. I left my corporate job because of her. You know, I've got an online program now where I'm helping people because of her. I mean, she was incredible. She was so poorly for so long. She had gingivitis, arthritis, pancreatitis, diabetes, dandruff. You know, we had so many health issues. And it didn't help that I free fed her dry food, because that's all I knew at the time. That's what I knew how to do.
Of course.
So we had problems with her being sick for 2 years. Vets couldn't find a diagnosis. They just kept saying to me, change her food, change her food, change her food. And like, what I realized now when I look back, my inner knowing, like my intuition was like, something's wrong. Something's wrong. It's not the food, like something's wrong. But I didn't know the questions to ask. I didn't know you could ask your vet questions. I didn't know you
Big
could
one.
guess, right? I didn't know you could second guess them. I didn't know you could ask for a second opinion. I didn't know you could ask for tests. I didn't know you could like do any of that stuff, right?
Mm-hmm. Of course.
So one day we went to the vet on a Saturday morning, and I just like broke down in tears. I'm like, look, I need help. Something's not right, you know? And it was a locum vet. So one that I'd never seen before. She said, right, give me a second. She took her back into the back room, came back in. She said to me, she's diabetic. And I just burst into more tears. And I was like, what do you mean? She said, her blood glucose is 28.7. It should, at the time, from what I knew back then, should be between 5 and 7. It was 28.7. And I'm like,
that's not just like a little sick. That's like pretty bad.
that's not a little out of control. Like that's not good, you know? Yeah. But I actually felt this huge amount of relief as well, because I was like, I've got an answer. I've got something I can work with. I've got something I can fix. I've got something I can heal. I've got something I can help, you know? So whilst the vet stuff was going on, I also learned different modalities. So I did my human Reiki qualifications. I didn't really like working with humans, and I know you're probably not supposed to say that.
same way. Most humans. Cat humans? Those are my people.
Yeah. I was like, having human clients, I'm like, this really isn't for me. So because I had a Reiki business, but it really wasn't for me. I just speak the truth, like it or not, people. And then I found out you could do Reiki for animals. I was like, oh, great. So I did that course. That was like, oh, it feels a little bit better. It's still not there. Still not like really where I could feel like what I was being called to go. So I found this animal healing diploma with a lady called Elizabeth Whiter. She is amazing. So go check her out, peeps. Elizabeth Whiter, Healing Animals Organization, HAO, she runs. She's based here in the UK. She does brilliant work. And she did an animal healing diploma. And I was like, oh, great. Like, all about animals. Brilliant. Mostly focused on dogs, which was a bit of a shame, but there were bits that were cat specific.
That's kind of the norm.
I really
Thankfully,
like it.
I think it's shifting. Cats,
Yes.
it's the year of the cat. I feel it.
Yes. And the fact that there was little bits in there that were a bit specific about cats, like, gave me hope, right? But basically, she taught me how to use energy to heal cats and to work with cats. I'll never forget at the end of I think it was the last module or the one before the end, she talked to us about using macerated oils with cats and dogs. And I was like, what? Say what? You're going to use it to do a what? And that was the next chapter. So then I learned about how to use herbs, hydrosols, essential oils, and macerated oils with cats. And I trained with Caroline Ingram and did a 2-year feline self-selection, also known as zoopharmacognosy, diploma. And that just blew my mind. Like, my poor girl, I look at her now. She was such a guinea pig for me.
We all have that one cat.
Yeah. I remember coming home from one of the first lessons on essential oils, and I had a bottle of essential oil and I shoved it right under her nose, which is not the way to do it, people. It's not the way to do it. You don't get a bottle and no. But she was so tolerant, and she taught me so much. I learned with her. I learned from her. I learned for her, and I did animal communication as well. I did chakra and energy work as well, because I wanted someone who could who would offer a holistic approach. I am not anti-vet in any way, shape, or form. Like, I'm pro-vet. I want to work with my vet to treat my boys, my girl. I'm anti-medication is the only route. That's what I'm anti. Like, I use medication for my boys as and when we need it. Again, I'm not anti that at all. But for me, I'm holistic. And holistic means a bigger, wider approach. Do you know what I mean?
The whole animal. Everything, the environment, the internal world, the food, the toxins, everything. The
relationships, the energy. Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly. So I basically brought it all together, all the different courses that I'd done, all the different teachings that she'd brought to me, all the things that I'd done wrong and then could do right, and put it together to create Naturally Cats. And I remember sitting in my corporate job and asking the guy that I was working with at the time, he was helping me create my strapline, which at the time was holistic help for cats and their guardians, and now it's anxious help. It's help for anxious humans and anxious cats. But that's where it all came from her, because I wanted to create something that would honor her, that would help her. And now the mission is to change the world's perception of cats. The mission is to have 1 million solo cat guardians. The mission is to have a TED talk about the emotional health of cats. But the mission overall is to turn our pain into someone else's passion and to make her life mean something,
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, she was my soul cat.
Oh my gosh, your whole world flipped upside down.
Pretty much.
So you talked a little bit about, how cats and their humans, their energy impacts one another. Mm-hmm. Can you give some examples, specifically with Pickle? Give us an example of how either your energy impacted her and you were able to see that, or her energy affected you, or emotions affected you and you were able to connect with that. Like how did you find that aha moment?
I got to be honest, it wasn't with her. So
No?
she no, so she was the one that led me to this course, that course, this qualification. Do you know what I mean? She created the foundations
Mm.
for the business and my awareness of holistic health. It was Leo that, God, rocked my world in terms of energy and the connection that we share. Like, oh yeah, it gives me goosebumps when I think about him. He was the one that helped me to even recognize there was a connection between us. Let me show you a picture of him. Hang on.
Of course.
It's my boy.
Oh, so handsome.
Oh, I know. Babies. I don't even know if this is going out as a video version, but if
We can. Doesn't matter. We can do whatever we want.
excellent. But at least you've seen them. That's what's important.
Yes, of course.
My boy. So he was feral for the first 18 months of his life. And he was found by a rescue centre because he was part of a colony. And they were going to give the colony to a farm so that they were all managed and monitored, but could still be,
Together.
relatively free. Yeah.
Yeah.
But he actually showed interest in humans when he was at the rescue centre. So one of the care workers spent 3 months working with him, extending a hand. He would kind of just come and just gently touch it and, kind of basically start to domesticate him, essentially. So he's got his ear tipped because he was part of TNR, Trap, Neuter and Return. And he's a black cat. So he'd been at the rescue centre for months and no one was showing any interest in him. My ex-husband and I decided to get a cat 6 months after Pickle had passed, which when I look back in hindsight was far too early and I wasn't ready, but he wanted it, so we did it. And I remember picking up Leo the next day and coming home in the car thinking, what the hell am I doing? Like, what on earth am I doing? Like, whose idea was this? What am I doing? And I don't know who was more scared, me or Leo. I'll be completely honest. So the next morning we went downstairs. I thought he'd escaped from a room with a locked window because I couldn't find him anywhere, to find that he was actually hiding underneath the cat bed.
Oh.
So I didn't realise that he needed to be in dark spaces. Like now if we go to the vet, he has a cover over his face because he needs to basically be like invisible. He doesn't want to be seen.
I know how that goes.
Tell me about it. So going back to your question, I know I've digressed, sorry.
The question was, when did you first kind of connect the dots that your emotions or energy affects your cats or vice versa? Like, how did that click?
That was when we found out that Leo was asthmatic. We'd had him for 3 months and then he started to cough and the vets were like, oh, it's a furball. I'm like, no, it's not a furball because nothing's coming up. And anyway, let's not go down that road. So it took us 6 months to get a diagnosis of asthma. And about that time, I was just wrapping up my chakra and aura diploma and basically realized that his health, physical health, was connected to my energy because I was in a marriage and I couldn't breathe. And even to this day, when he starts to have an asthma attack or his asthma's out of control, I'm like, oh, where am I? Where am I holding my breath? Where am I not breathing? Where am I not speaking up for my truth? Where is my energy not moving up through my, either solar plexus, heart or throat chakra? So, and there's been other instances, like the more I'm in my head and suffering with my anxiety, or the more my anxiety takes hold, should we say, the more he won't come near me. He won't let me put his collar on. He won't let me touch him. Like, I go to stroke him and he slinks underneath my hand. He goes off his food. Yeah, he was the one that showed me just how intrinsically connected we are.
Interesting. Now that you were saying that, like my Jackie does some of that. Sometimes he's super cuddly, and then there's some days where he does the slinking thing too. And there's days where not days, but there's times where he won't eat as much food. That's really interesting. I'm going to have to watch that. I'm going to have to see like what's within me, what is my energy like on those days where he's kind of standing back. That's really interesting. Thank you.
Leo has days when he basically, like, I go to put his collar on and he'll look at me like I'm carrying a torch of fire. Like, his eyes go big, his ears go flat, and he goes and runs out the door. I'm like, buddy, I just literally got your collar in my hand, picked it up from the side. Like, that's it, you know? And then when he's gone, I kind of take it like a mental inventory. I'm like, oh, I'm feeling really angry right now, not because of him, but like of other stuff going on. Or, oh, I feel like I really need to have a good cry. So like, here's me. so yeah, next time it happens with yours with Jackie, take a look.
I definitely will. Thank you. Now, are you able, I think I know the answer to this question already, but are you able to receive communication from Leo?
Yes.
And does that come in like a voice? Does that come in visuals? Like one, how does it show up for you? And two, how are you able to do this?
Great question. So I went to a wildlife park many years ago, 15, 16 years ago, and I walked past a big cat enclosure, all of a sudden, like, burst into tears. And my now ex-husband, but boyfriend at the time, said to me, like, what is the matter? What is going on? I'm like, oh my God, I don't know. I just feel really sad and I couldn't stop crying. And when we left, we saw a sign to say that, I think it was, I don't know what, I can't remember the big cat, unfortunately, tiger, jaguar, something like that. Their mate had passed away.
Mm.
So I'd felt the grief of this big cat as I walked past the enclosure. I couldn't even see it. It was all amongst the greenery. And I'd had a couple of weird things happen, you know, like with friends or whatever over the years. And when people had used the word empath, I was like, oh, that resonates, you know, that's interesting. I'd read an article here or there, but never really accepted it or looked into it much more. And then after that happened with the big cat, I did an animal communication course. Did a little bit with Pickle, but not so much. It was more about the doing with her, like the herbs, the essential oils and things, the healing. And then with Leo, God, I remember it like it was yesterday. It was about 8 to 12 months into him being here with me, and we just weren't getting anywhere. Like, I'm a qualified behaviorist. Like, I was trying every behavior tool I knew to build trust, get a relationship, get him to know me. Like I did everything I knew, even herbs and oils and all that stuff, to just like find a connection with him. Nothing. So I sat in my extension and wrote him a letter because I didn't know what else to do. Like, I had no idea what else to do. I'm like, I'm out of options. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'd even used a communicator, a healer at the time, and I could do all that stuff myself. Got other people in. Still didn't feel like we were connected. So I ended up writing him a letter. And when I finished and reread the letter back, I realized that halfway through the tone, the tense had changed. And it wasn't me writing to him, it was him writing to me. Yeah. And I have to say, like, that blew my mind.
So he writes through you.
He did that, yes.
Oh my God.
And that was the start of it. So that was when I realized, oh, okay, like, let's connect on an energetic level. And that's been one of my lessons with Leo, that we don't have a physical closeness relationship. Like Pickle would be on my bed, like we'd spoon. Do you know what I mean? Like we'd be all like scrunches and cuddles and like my face in her tummy. But Leo was just like, don't touch me, woman. Apart from an occasional morning cuddle, you know, when I'm just waking up before my vibe really gets going, we don't have a physical, intimate connection. We have a spiritual connection. So now I could sit here, close my eyes, come into my heart space and receive him. It doesn't sound like a different voice. I wish it would, because it would have made it easier to trust it. But it doesn't. All I can say is that it feels different. So the more that I've embraced that I'm an empath, and the more that I've understood energetic connections and what's my energy and what's not my energy, the easier it's been to connect with him. So I can do it with humans. You know, I could, again, I won't, but I could sit here and kind of come into my heart space and sense and feel your energy and your emotions. But it's a lot easier for me to do it with cats. So, you know, we could put a picture up on the screen. Again, I could take a minute to come into my heart space and I could tell you, well, I wouldn't, they would tell you through me which chakras are blocked, what their energy feels like, if they've got words to share with you, what they need you to hear, messages, moments, that kind of thing. And bearing in mind I've got a psychology degree, it's been a little unsettling for my life to have gone this way, I'll be honest. If you'd have said to me, you know, 10 years ago, you're going to leave your corporate job as a benefits manager and you're going to go and, you know, look at photos of cats and tell people how they feel, I'd have left the room thinking you were crazy. True.
Yeah. So how did you learn to trust that what you were receiving was theirs and not like just a made up voice in your head? Because that's a challenge that I have. I'm like, am I just fucking crazy? Like, am I just making this up? Or are they really communicating with me? Like, how did you learn to trust and to decipher what was yours and what was theirs?
That is the $1 million question, isn't it? That is the thing that everybody wants to know. It's really hard to answer because the logical part of me is like, yeah, how did you do that? You know, like, what were the steps that you took? What action did you take? Tell them the examples, right?
Step by step, Julianne, step by step.
Yeah, like,
I need to know.
And then my heart space is like, well, you just did. I'm like, well, that's not really helpful to share on a podcast, is it?
You just do it. It just happens.
So I think what I would answer to that is, how did I learn to trust? By practice.
Mm-hmm.
So like the next time I consciously sat to write a letter from him, you know, I recreated the situation. I used the training that I'd had from animal communication courses, you know, and I connected with him through the picture, because like it's difficult for me to do face to face because I read their body language. And what happens is when you start to take a leap of faith, things happen to help you build that trust. So by that I mean, he would say something or share something and it would really resonate or make sense, like in a logical day to day. And I was like, oh, that's like a data point, you know, like that makes sense. That's a connection that makes it real. And then I asked people, you know, I asked to practice with people's cats. And before I started using it as a service in the business, I was doing it with, you know, friends and family's cats. And I would ask a few questions of the cats, write down what came through, give the feedback or share the session with the guardian. And then they'd be in like floods of tears, like happened all the time. They were like, oh my God, that resonates so much. Or, oh my God, that message means so much. Or, oh my goodness, that's just so spot on. I'm like, okay. So it's just about like taking those steps, and it's kind of like going to the gym, right? You don't go to the gym once and then you can be this gigantic, chunky bodybuilder that can lift like 100 tons. Do you know what I mean? I can sit here now without his picture and I can receive him and share his words with you because I've been doing it now for so long, but I couldn't do that back then. And there are times if my anxiety has a strong hold on me, I can't do it via connection. I have to use a picture and I have to do the writing because I can't fully come into my heart space to just receive him and hear him. So, even though I've been doing it for years now, there are still times when I go back to basics.
For sure. So let me see if I understood you correctly. So, in order to try to understand and communicate, like hear the messages from your cat or read the energy of your cat, you need to first and foremost be in a place of peace, right? So, be calm, be centered, maybe do some breath work beforehand, some mindfulness exercises. So, first, you need to be in a state of peace and clarity.
Mm-hmm.
You need to drop into your heart space. And what, in my mind, what that means is be grateful, feel love, like that feeling of like when you're so happy your heart wants to explode. That's what I chalk it up to. That's like very similar. And just practice, right? Just practice and be open and open your mind to the possibilities.
Open your heart
And
to what's going to come through. Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
definitely. You've done the 3-step process. That's great.
Detail oriented.
Love it. Yes. So it is create the space to make the connection. So, looking at your environment, you can't do it if you're on your phone. If you're sat here and you just reply to messages and stuff, you can't do that. So you create the space, like you said, come into your heart space. And some people are like, what does that mean? How do I do that? That could be through your breath, like in my Become a Solid Cat Guardian program. I teach you how to come into your heart space. We have a practice called a calm connection where you take a couple of deep breaths. You hear and honor all your head and all your thoughts, but you kind of come back down into the quiet stillness of your heart. And like you said, Ashley, it's then being open and it's about not having any expectations. So if I sit and I try to write with him and I'm like, why didn't you eat your dinner? And then all of a sudden I'm like, I didn't eat my dinner because I don't want it. I'm not hungry. Is that him or is that me?
Right.
So being open and receiving them is about honoring like whatever comes through. And sometimes for people, it's easier to just write, to free write, Other people, it may not be. There are different types of senses, whether you get images or sounds or knowing or whatever. And again, like it's just being open to see what comes in and trusting that what's come in is valuable. Now, that may seem like a silly word, but like you said, how do you know? Like, how do you trust it? You have to have a leap of faith. And the more that you practice it, the more you will decipher what is your head and what is your writing and your thoughts versus what is coming from them, because it will feel different.
Right. Kind of need to first like deprogram yourself because most people have been taught like, that's crazy. That's not possible. You can't speak to animals. They don't speak.
Absolutely.
So it's the first step is like deprogramming yourself.
Yes.
And taking those limitations out of your head and out of your heart.
Absolutely. And the belief comes over time, like it is the gym thing. The more you do it, the more confident you become, the easier it is. It's almost like a vicious circle. Do you know what I mean? You're so not confident and so scared of doing it the first time round, so you don't do it. So that obviously gets you nowhere. And then the first time or the next time you do it, you overthink it so much that it may not still work. So it's just about continuing to take action and being open to it. I have never had a cat in like 20 years of working with cats. I've never had a cat that says, I don't want to talk to you or you can't connect with me. So they are always open. We've just got to be the ones that open up to them.
For sure. Animals are such great teachers. They're so smart. We do not give them enough credit at all. Humans. Okay, amazing. And for this next section, we've already started doing it, but I really want to give our listeners or our viewers um, some actionable like takeaways, right? Some short little snippets, right? Things that they can take home and start implementing right away. And we already started doing that. I love it. I if I could be, I would be taking notes right now, but I'll do it after the session. Um, so the first question that I have for you is, what are some common symptoms of an anxious cat? Like, what should we be looking out for?
There are some really obvious ones, and they're, I think, talked about a lot. So the obvious ones are, like we've said, running away from you, hiding under the bed, hiding under the sofa, running away when people come to the door, that kind of thing. But I like to talk about the kind of less obvious signs of anxiety, because they're the ones I don't think people are aware of. So it's when a cat is on the sofa or on their bed, and they look like they're asleep, but actually you can see their ears moving because they're actually listening. They're listening to what's going on around them, so they're not actually asleep. They may also have like one eye. I can't do it without making a funny face. They may also have like one eye open a little bit as well. So you can tell if a cat is sleeping because, again, you might hear them snoring, but you can also see the change of breathing is slower. So it's almost like vigilant whilst they are asleep. That's something to look for. Like we've said, there is the sign where 1 minute they're cuddly, the next minute they're not. And people talk about this being, oh, that's just cats. And that really gets my back up.
Yeah, they're aloof, right?
No. No. It's like with humans, every behavior that we do has or means something, has a meaning or a purpose. And it's exactly the same for cats. So if they are almost like they have like that dualistic tendency to be cuddly 1 minute and then run away the next, that probably means they're really sensitive to energy. And that's something to be aware of. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean they're anxious, but it is just something to be mindful of, because if they are in that heightened state, take a look at yourself. Other signs of anxiety are being cautious with people, and this can be different depending on relationships you have. So like I said, sometimes not people, Leo will come on my pillow in the morning and give me cuddles, but that's like a couple of times a month. He's not on my lap every day like baby Max is. Anxious cats are generally aware of their environment. They're aware of people coming and going. They may have a certain bond with one person over others. The more you get to know your cat, the more you can see if they are dealing with anxiety. Now, anxiety can be acute or it can be chronic. It can be due to a change of circumstance, like you've just moved house, for example. Things may take a while to settle. They're a bit hypervigilant, they're a bit on edge, they're not fully established in their territory. Or it could be like Leo, he had uncertainty for the first 18 months of his life. So although I do energy work regularly with him, he's got kind of therapy in the home, his energy can be grounded. He's always going to have, an element of cautiousness, because in his socialization period, not to get too like boringly scientific, but he wasn't exposed to a loving, trusting environment, so
Right.
he's always going
Trauma.
to be yeah yeah, exactly.
Poor little guy.
Yeah.
Ugh. So it's actually, the symptoms are very similar to ours. Like if a human is anxious.
Yeah.
It's just we associate the actions of or behaviors of a cat as being aloof, when in all actuality, they could be scared, they could be anxious, they could be stressed, and they're literally communicating with you.
Yep. They could be nervous, they could be fearful. You're absolutely right. So like, we have different circumstances in our life, like you're more, I imagine, more chatty, more outgoing with friends and family, for perhaps shorter periods of time if you're an introvert. And you have other times when, you're with someone you feel really safe and comfortable with, you could talk with them for hours, Cats are the same. Like, they are not, I don't believe, they're not aloof. Like, yes, you've got some cats that are super chilled out and they're just the floppy bunnies of the home, and they'll go and cuddle everyone, and they'll show you their tummies and they're beautiful. But even those cats have times when they are monitoring their environment and they have emotions that they need to process. So an anxious cat isn't just one that's hiding away under the bed, and that's why I encourage guardians to use complementary therapies and be aware of energy work to help their cats so that they can provide that support day in, day out. We might have, and I don't drink it, but some people use coffee to wake themselves up in the morning. Some people use, a tea to calm themselves before bed. So we have tools that we use to manage our physical body and energy. So why aren't we offering those to our cats?
Sure, for sure. Well, one of the tools you mentioned and that you kind of specialize in is chakra therapy or color therapy. Um, tell us about that. What are some super simple things that cat guardians can do to help their cat with color therapy or chakra therapy? Like, what can we do?
Oh, I love that question. That's like my jam. So, so briefly, just to this could probably be a whole other episode. To just briefly, cats have energy centers like we do as well. So, like if you've got an upset tummy, you might have a peppermint tea or a chamomile tea to kind of calm that energy, calm your tummy down.
Mm-hmm.
Cats have energy centers too. So you can see from the colors of my logo or my wall hanging, or let's just talk about the 7 main colors of the rainbow. Each of those colors is associated with a different chakra. Now, I work with the 7 main chakras in cats. There are some people that believe there are more. I only ever work through my experience, and my experience when I've worked with energy with cats has been 7 main ones. So it's not right or wrong that there's 7 or more. It's just different experiences. So go with what feels right. The 7 main ones that I work with are all associated to a color, and each of the chakras supports a different part of the body. So, for example, your tummy, that's for humans, your tummy area, that's your solar plexus, and that's connected to yellow, and that's connected to all of your emotions. It's connected to your power, it's connected to your energy. When we feel really, really fearful, we get that like sinking feeling in our tummy. When we feel really, really excited, we've got the butterflies and the nervousness going on in there, just to give you some simple examples of how it feels.
Mm-hmm.
So cats, the ones, when I work with them, have 7 main chakras, and each of the 7 main colors associated with each one. So for example, with Leo, in fact, if I use... with this picture, you can see he's got a red pendant. He's actually got a red collar, not that you can see it there. So he's had a red collar for years because red is associated with the root chakra, and red helps to ground. Root chakra is all connected to being grounded and feeling safe in your environment. So, like we said, first 18 months of his life, he didn't have that. Whenever I've connected with him energetically in the last few years, he's always been ungrounded. Like his root chakra feels like a tiny little pea. There's not been much energy flowing through it, so he has a red collar. But recently he asked me for a green one. He wanted to shift and have his heart chakra supported. I know. I tell you, it's totally changed the way I look at him as well and feel about him, which is fascinating. So color therapy is about offering your cat color to support their 7 main chakras. And I've actually got an ebook on my website that you can get, just like under $10, that talks about color therapy, how you can use it, and what the benefits of it are. And basically, it's about offering your cat color to say to them, look, you've got an upset tummy, here is some yellow. And there's really simple ways that you could do that. So you could go and get colored pens from a pen pot. You can go and get bits of like Post-its, like colored paper. You can go and rifle through your wardrobe and see you've got a lovely, I think it's like mint color that from where I'm sitting. It may not be the actual color, but that's the camera color that's given it to me for your t-shirt. Like mine's a blue. So you can put down like tops and t-shirts. Hell, you can even go to your pant drawer, right? As long as they're clean, and put down pants, like whatever the color may be, whatever the medium may be. When you put color down, you are saying to your cat, I see you have energetic and emotional needs, and I'm offering this to help you. I tell you, it changes your relationship with them, because it's almost like you see them in a completely different way and they recognize that. It's like if someone turned to you and said, I see that you need some time to yourself, or I see you actually that, you want to be You don't want to be on camera, and I respect that about you. It's like really feeling seen. That's what
Mhm.
happened when you offer color, and it's incredibly powerful. So you just get whatever color you can, 7 main colors: red, orange, yellow, green, blue, like indigo-ish violet, or dark purple, light purple if you can,
Mhm.
and put a couple of pieces down in the home. So in my ebook, I have put in there about how to use like do's and don'ts. So don't put it in litter trays, don't put it on cat beds. People have done it. And the reason for cat beds is because you don't want to displace them from somewhere that is safe. Okay.
Right.
Especially if you're introducing it new to them. So it's about having like 2 or 3 colors. Like I put 2 or 3 colors on my spare bed. We've got 2 or 3 colors downstairs. I've got 1 or 2 in the dining room where it's a bit of a quiet space, and see what they want to do with it. If you're using something like pens and paper, monitor them with it, watch what they're doing and make sure that they're safe at all times. But if you're putting down like t-shirts, or like I've got pieces of fabric, see what they'll do with it. I've put many a picture on my social media, on Instagram and things, of Leo where he's put his throat over the red, or he's got his bum on the red. He's using that frequency of that color to help his chakra. So if his throat's like overactive, he'll use the lower frequency of the red color to bring the energy down. I tell you, they're amazing, and they know what they need to heal. It's incredible.
They just have that intuition.
Yes.
As long as they have the tools, they can heal themselves.
But it's like
We
us.
just have to provide the tools.
Exactly. It's just like us. If you need a headache tablet, or if you need to go for a walk, and you have the capacity to do that, right? So we can offer that to them. Obviously not like medication and a walk, but we can offer them the tools to heal themselves. They just need to
For
be
sure.
offered.
Amazing. Yeah, I made a chakra blanket because I couldn't find one online to buy, so I made one for my cats. And it is incredible. They will sit on literally one color. It's hardly ever are they just like belly up across all of them. You will see them choosing a color and sitting on it. It is
Brilliant.
unbelievable. Unbelievable.
Yes,
So
I love it.
I believe it. My cats love it. Go get yourself a chakra blanket or
Oh, I know.
fabrics. And
It's so
I'll
easy.
definitely I'll post your links to your book because people need to learn like what chakras are attached to what they can heal, what they can help with. So I'll put that in the links below. So
Awesome.
definitely get your book.
Thank you. Yeah, I didn't think so. My book is it's called Cat Chakras, and you can get it from my website, or you can get a signed copy from my website. You can get it from like Amazon and stuff. It doesn't have my old surname on there, but it is me. And yeah, you're right. I mean, chakras, again, that's a whole topic in and of itself. And I know we're almost at time, but chakras are so powerful. They are connected to behavior. They are connected to physical issues. If you've got a cat vomiting, which chakra is that connected to? If you've got a cat that's being aggressive, or that's withdrawn, or that's grieving, look at the chakras, how you can support it. They are the core essence, essentially, just like they are with us, so it's definitely worth a look.
For sure. And what would you say to those cat parents that are interested in this work but are a little skeptical or hesitant?
I would say take a step somewhere, whether that's like, I've got my hard copy book, but I've also broken that down into a couple of little ebooks. So I've got one for color, I've got one for herbs, one for crystals. And it's about, seeing what you're interested in, seeing what your cat is presenting you with, because I firm believer that they are our teachers. I mean, look at Leo, everything he's talking about, my energy and myself. It's try not to feel overwhelmed. If you're exploring a new topic, it can be really easy to get overwhelmed. So find a source that you know or like or trust, and like, read their content. Like I've got blogs, I've got books, etc. If it's not me, pick someone else. But start with someone and start to learn about a topic from that place. Because when I was learning about color therapy and chakras and with cats, it was really hard to see with what resonated until I came back to like my experience with my boys and things like that. So I find the internet is incredible, But it's also, for someone that deals with anxiety, can be quite overwhelming. You start off looking for something, and actually before you know it, 25 minutes or 45 minutes have gone by. You've actually got 50 more questions than the one answer you were looking for. You've got 4 other tabs open of things you want to look at, and you've just signed up for 2 email lists, and you're like, that wasn't where I thought I was going to go. So find a source that you know and trust, and go with that.
Love it. And as someone, if someone's struggling with anxiety right now, and if they have an anxious cat, what do you want them to know?
You don't have to do it by yourself. Like, you don't have to do it alone. You're not alone. I know it can feel that way. Like, you feel overwhelmed. You don't even know what action to take, but you don't have to do it alone. One of the things I would say is just catch your breath. When we are in the spiral or the whirlwind of anxiety, we can't breathe. Your head just overtakes, or you're so panicked and in fear and worried about your cat, you can't see anything else. So just remember to breathe. And that might be putting your hand on your heart or your tummy, or on yourself, and just taking a breath, and maybe another one. But just coming back to the fact that you can figure this out, and you don't have to do it by yourself. So I've got a freebie that people can have on my website. It's how to reduce anxiety in the home for humans and for cats. So I'll definitely will pop the link for that with this session, because it talks a bit about the cat and it talks a bit about the human. So realize that you don't have to do it by yourself. Catch your breath, and if you have any capacity, get the download. And if not, that's okay, but still just catch your breath and know that you're not alone.
Beautiful. I love it. Such good information, and so wise, right? Just in general, just to be able to sit for a second and just breathe.
Yeah.
Right? I think we forget that that's a tool that we can use, and it's free.
Yes. It's available.
Yeah. And it is so healing to just take a big, deep breath.
Yes.
I love it. But you are right. We are about at time. But before we officially close, I want to do some quick fire questions. These answers can be short and sweet. Okay. And if there's any you don't want to answer, we can just skip.
No, I say to people in my community and in my free community, the Soul Space, and in SLG, I'm an open book, so go for it.
Awesome. All right. What's one piece of mainstream cat advice that you completely disagree with?
Oh. Oh, I don't really like it.
I said you could skip.
No. I will speak my truth. Otherwise, I'll have a croaky throat for the next 2 days. I don't agree that cats need to have partners. I don't agree that you shouldn't have a single cat. I don't believe that's true, because I think some cats thrive as only cats. And I think there are some cats that actually need to be only cats. So I don't agree when one cat dies, you rush and get another one. I don't agree that that if a cat's left at home all day, that they need to have a partner or a buddy. I don't believe that's true. I believe every situation is unique, but that's a bit of mainstream advice. Cats need to live in pairs or more. I don't always agree with that. Go on to the next question, because that's really uncomfortable for me to share.
Sit with it. Feel the feelings.
No.
Let it go through you. Do some chanting mantras.
I need to remind you later.
Okay, next one. Okay. If Leo or baby Max could give you any information, they could tell you one thing right now, what would it be?
Baby Max comes in straight away. It's have more fun, Mum. Can I just show a picture of him, because I haven't actually, and I can't have this session without showing you my boy.
Is that a long-haired black cat?
Yes.
Oh my God, the dream.
Yeah. Gorgeous. And you should see his little tickle his back. See his floofy tummy look.
Oh my gosh, I would just.
There's a lot of that goes on in this house. But yeah, my sole contract with him is joy, and I need to stop taking myself so seriously. Have more fun.
That's amazing advice.
War.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Agreed. I'll take that advice too, baby Max. Okay. What are some go-to resources if people are interested in this type of work? Like, where are your favorite resources? Books, podcasts, websites?
For like energy work or for cats, do you mean?
Both.
Oh.
Like, your favorite tools.
Okay, so I would say the Two Crazy Cat Ladies are brilliant for all things.
Love them.
Yeah. All things environmental for cats. Definitely. Caroline Ingram's a great resource in terms of essential oils and botanicals, as is Nyana Morag as well. But neither of them are cat specific. They do all animals. Energy work, well, I would say me, because I've still yet to find, people that talk about
Loud
energy
and
the way I
proud,
do.
lady.
So makes me sweaty. Yeah, I'm still finding people that talk about cats and energy in that holistic way, because there's animal communicators, there's energy healer, but there's no one that I found that does like help your cat with their energy this way by you helping them, so yeah. That's a great question. What other resources would I say? Oh, I'm trying to think like who pops up in my Instagram feed the most. But at the moment, I'm going through a season of looking at funny memes, so that's no help to me whatsoever.
That's joy. It's joy. You're doing what baby Max wants.
So when you see those videos of like, they say like your spirit guide did this, and there's someone do like a funny dance, or they're pointing fingers, or like stuff. Those are the kind of videos, stupidly, that I'm watching at the moment. Yeah, we'll leave that there.
Well, now that I know you like that stuff, because I get those all the time, I'm gonna send you some.
Great. Excellent. Love it. Yeah, send away.
Awesome. All right, last question. What's your personal mantra or reminder on those really hard days?
So, two things. Can I have two things?
Of course. You can have as many as you'd like.
One is the mantra that we have in the SLG program, which is find it, feel it, and release it. So, like, if I'm struggling, if I'm feeling heavy, I'm like, right, where is this coming from? What is this attached to? What has brought this to me? And then I feel it, which may be having a cry, maybe having a walk, pounding the pavements, ranting to my sister in a message. I feel it, and then I release it, which again could be those things, going for a walk, doing a meditation, writing a letter, doing some journaling, whatever. I work with it, right? And even in the darkest of times, I'm like, okay, how can I help myself in this moment? By doing one of those things. And the other, I would say, is something that has profoundly changed my life in the last 3 years, since Leo weed on my brand new chair, is asking myself the question, what is the lesson in this for me? So in SLG, we talk about things being like doing like things being done to you. Oh my God, this has happened to me. This has happened to me. This has happened to me. Versus this is happening for me. And it's a gnarly shift to make. It's not an overnighter. Like, it doesn't just happen like that, which is why I'll talk you through it and walk you through it in the program. It's a mindset shift, and I don't always nail it. There are still moments where I'm like, why is this happening? But 90% of the time, I am, and what is the lesson in this? And how can this help me to grow? What is the lesson in this? And how can this help me to grow? What is this trying to teach me? Because when I shift into that space, I can take action, or I can do something, whether that's having a cry or whether that's sitting and journaling, I can work with it. Whereas if I stay in there, oh my God, why did he be on the chair? Why is he doing this to me? I got no power. And I can't be in a situation anymore where I don't have power in my life, because, we are all infinite beings and we deserve and we get to live the life that we want. So I'm going to create that actively by saying, like, how can I use this to my advantage? How can I work with this? What can I learn from this? That would be
For
my
sure. That switch from victim mindset to being the creator of your life,
yeah.
right? To being empowered.
Victim versus warrior. Like, am I going to sit in victim mode or am I going to warrior up?
Right.
Yeah, I'm going to.
And every lesson is literally, every challenge is literally a step to keep evolving, keep learning, keep upgrading.
Yeah. Or as my 2025 word is, keep expanding. Expansion.
Love it.
You picked that word. Yeah.
This was incredible. Thank you so much for sharing your heart, your vulnerability, your wisdom. Yeah, it was a beautiful conversation. And for those cat parents who want to learn more about you, maybe work with you, where can they find you? How can they get in contact with you?
Thank you for this. It's been lovely to talk about cats and to almost have free reign to talk about it openly and honestly. So I appreciate the space that you created here for us to do that. So thank you, Ashley. So you can find me. My website is naturallycats.co.uk, and I'm primarily on Instagram, so at naturallycats. Also on Facebook, a little bit on TikTok, Pinterest, and I've got a YouTube channel, so I drop a video every other week. Sometimes they're short ones, sometimes they're a bit longer, but it's all about us, and our anxiety and our cat's anxiety and how to help you with those. I brought more content out this year since I emerged from my cave last year of getting through my divorce. So I've got a couple of different books. So there are the hard copy books, The Aromatic Cat and Cat Chakras. Like I said, you can get those from my website. And I've also brought out a series of ebooks. There's crystals, colour, herbs, bone broth. Might be another one, I'm not quite sure. That was all created in a bit of a whirlwind. So they're on my website, and I offer sessions for humans. So I haven't done it so much before, but I am now working with the Guardian. So I offer a set of 4 sessions or a one-off session, which can be whatever format of healing people need, whether that's talking therapy, a healing session, connecting with spirit guides, clearing trauma and pain and things to help us with our anxiety to move forward. And I also work with cats. So I offer cat chakra cleanse treatments. So you can have a chakra cleanse done for your cat to help them with their energy, health and emotions. And you get all the feedback from that. And the other way to work with me is through my Become a Soul-Led Cat Guardian program. So that opens twice a year. And that's where I help people do what I've done, which is to go from being in a terribly anxious state and literally living from my head and my crazy thoughts to being able to come into their heart space and receive and connect with the soul essence and wisdom of their cats. So there's information about the program online. And then I keep forgetting because it's quite new, but we've got a free community called the Soul Space. So it's a community via a platform called Circle, and it's for energy loving cat guardians. Like, that's the best way to describe it. We have all sorts of conversations in there. Today we've dropped a post about what drives you crazy about your cats, because like I said to them, it's important to look at what drives you crazy. It's not just about trying to fix them or make them better or change their behavior. We've got to look at us as well. So like, some of the posts are really interesting. People saying like, my cat does this and it drives me bonkers. I'm like, great, let's talk about it, because there's no such thing as a negative emotion. They're all valid. So let's feel them all. So yeah, the Soul Space, you can join us via the link at the top of the top of my homepage on the website. It's free to join and you'll be with other cat lovers. So it's a great place to be. I think that's everything.
Awesome. Well, I know where I'm going right after this session. I'm going to join your group on Circle.
Brilliant. And I tell you, it's lovely because when people come and join, they drop pictures of their cats. They tell us where they're from. It's really lovely to see people coming together. And I I've worked for years to help anxious guardians and connect with cat people. But anxious cat people are generally like introverts. They're not always online. They don't generally comment on social media and stuff, right? So I was like, how can I reach these people? So I decided to just say, right, I'm here. If you want to come and join me, come on in, and it's been great. The momentum's really built, and it's such a lovely, safe space to talk about cats and energy. Oh, it's great. I love it.
Oh, incredible. Cat people, go check out Julianne's website, join her community on Circle, buy some of her books, learn more about your cat, connect with your cat. Thank you so much, Julianne. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Ashley.
If you enjoyed this video, give us a like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon so you don't miss a single video. Thanks for watching.